Okay, PJ Net Live Renew US with Dell Didway standing by in the green room. Bumper is rolling. Football stadium background is staged. We will switch to Studio 5 in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It is August the 6th, T minus 20 or T plus 24 hours from August 5th. You might say, so what? Well, keep listening and you will find out why. It is great to have you on board today. If you are watching this live, it is about 9:30 here on the East Coast. And I'll try to remind myself, and Dale can actually hear me. He always says 9:30 Eastern and then 8:30 Elvis time or something like that. I want to know what that means. Dell Didway is one of the most interesting persons on earth, and if you haven't followed his blog, let me put the address of his website on screen. It is delldidway.com. That is how you spell it. Do not attempt to spell it phonetically. It will not end well. And Dale, you're looking pretty relaxed for a man who is T plus 24 hours on the release of I wasn't going to say anything. I was going to make you say, what happened yesterday? Anything?
Let's see. I didn't get my golf game in. What else? Yes, it was a fun day. We had the First Down Devotions launched finally, and we were busy all weekend with that endeavor. It's right here in front of my face. First Down Devotions launched yesterday. The New Hope Publishers, Iron Stream Media, and we're having a good time with it right now.
Well, I checked my mailbox and it was not there. So I assume the check is in the mail, as they say. But I'm looking forward to getting mine because everybody's got one. All you folks that I've met have a. I guess the one you show before it releases. I guess that's just a facsimile. Am I correct?
No, that's it. I mean, I get some copies prior to the release.
Oh, okay. And, I thought maybe it was just sort of fake,
No, that was it. No, that was it. In fact, we were up in Columbus, Ohio today, a couple hours away, and meeting with the gentleman who wrote the foreword for the book, William White, who is an Ohio State alum. That's why I'm still wearing my Ohio State shirt and my Ohio State mug. William played for the Buckeyes, great career there.
Back in the Woody Hayes day?
Yeah, no, not that far back, but he played in the Super Bowl for the Falcons. He had a good career with the Lions and the Chiefs. And then his son's playing right now. He's a junior cornerback or safety. But William has been diagnosed with ALS, and met him about a year and a half ago, and he was telling us the story of his diagnosis, and you couldn't tell. There was no. You would meet him and talk to him and think, this man doesn't have ALS. Mm-hmm. Met back up with him today, gave him a couple of copies of the book, had him sign some footballs, and it's starting to show on him. Mm-hmm. And his attitude is still phenomenal, though. So that's one of the chapters in the book. First Time Devotions deals with his story that God is bigger than ALS. So it's always a joy to catch up to him. I'll be posting some pictures of our visit probably tomorrow on Twitter.
Dale, your blog today I was dealing with a subject that was a little bit off your beaten path, but I saw a lot of the comments on Twitter, and I think the story, the meaning, and the message in the story is really resonating out there. And it talks about our past, and I think, no matter who reads that, we've all got a past, Dale.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, and you can't hide from it. And, I preface that blog with, I'm probably the only person in the world. And I try to go back and think, did I ever watch Little House on the Prairie? Mm-hmm. And I cannot recall in my memory ever seeing an episode. I didn't know the characters. I knew some people who were in it, but I never watched a program. And it wasn't bad or mean. I just didn't watch it. So, I told them down there when I met Allison, the gal that played Nellie, I said, I never saw a show. I never watched the program. And so she said, "You're the only person in the world, probably." I said, "Yeah, probably right." So we got to spend some time with her. Had a great time with Allison uh, Arngren. Yeah, so sorry. And she's a hoot. I mean, she does stand-up comedy now. She told about how she had, and her way she said things was incredible. That she told us, she told me and Angie that she's been told off, cussed out, spit at, thrown things thrown at her because people take that character so serious.
Mm-hmm.
And that finally, the funny story was when her fiance called his parents and said, I'm engaged. And they said, "Well, great. Who is it?" And they said, "Well, she played on television." "Well, who was it?" "Well, she played Nellie Olson." They said it was just dead silence. So I was like, "Are you
Mm-hmm.
kidding me?"
Yeah.
And that finally she embraced it, and she was talking. She was doing stand up. She said, "Do you happen to know what I've gone through being Nellie Olson? What I've had to put up with?" And she went into some of her act with us, and it was hilarious that she's embraced her past, and she finds a way to make people laugh with it. So
It's funny because I had never thought about a situation like that, except maybe pro wrestlers, because you see them carrying on against each other, mouthing off, smack mouthing, and but when they kind of travel together, and it's not unusual to see them at the bar having a beer together when they're not on camera.
right, right,
But those are all fake. And that's what kind of got me thinking a little bit. She is haunted by a past that is not even real, but it's very real to her. The implications of that. But then I began reflecting on some of the pasts in the Bible. The
yeah,
Apostle Paul did not have a very good past.
no, you're right there. So,
How about David, King David?
oh, he was an ongoing reality show, wasn't he?
How about Moses?
Yeah,
Yeah. It's funny. One of my criticisms of church culture, I guess I should refer to that in the lowercase c for church. We all study the story of Moses and the burning bush out in the desert, but they skip past the part. What was Moses doing out in the middle of the desert? After all, he was in the house of Pharaoh, in the castle, the king's mansion. Why would he be out in the middle of the desert? Well, folks, Moses was a murderer. That's why. If he'd have been uptown, he would have been arrested, prosecuted, and executed probably. The message here, your message is a little different. How we can take our past and actually, in the case in your blog, use it to propel us to new heights. How did that work for Nellie?
Oh, for the lady that played Nellie, or Nellie herself?
Well,
'Cause I didn't really see. Yeah, the lady.
yeah.
Yeah. She used that. She embraced it, and now because she told us about a lot of childhood stars or kids who want to get away from their past and they can't because they've been typecast. They've always. She pointed out that the lady that was in the lead role, that they always ask her about Half Pint. How's Half Pint doing? And she had 30 or 40 other roles, but she's remembered her that one role. So,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a good thing. She said, "You know what? It's who I was and who I am, and why run from it? It's made me a lot of money." And so she makes fun of it now. She pokes fun and tells how she dealt with it. And so she's adapted well. Not everybody does that. You see a lot of child stars who can't make it, and who suffer horrible things. We spoke to a gentleman there who has an organization. In fact, I'll blog on that probably next week, that helps child stars, who helps them recover or get treated
Transition.
fairly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, and you hear about some of these stars that I grew up with watching, your Dana Plato, your Todd Bridges, and some others who just really hit rock bottom. And more recently, the one of the child actors that played in Everybody Loved Raymond committed suicide.
Mm-hmm.
One of those twin boys. So there's issues there, and so Allison said, "I'm not running from it. It's who I am. It's who people know me as, and I'm going to make a living on it. And I'm going to entertain people still."
Well, Dale, your blog today has been an inspiration in the Prasic family. My wife got home and I was sharing about your blog, and I said, Renee, you should embrace your mistakes. And she gave me the biggest hug.
Yeah, was her mistake? Yeah, she embraced you. Yeah, yeah, I got it.
Okay.
Yeah,
I won't try that one with a blonde because it probably wouldn't work. But
yeah, really.
but the fact is, well, in sports, for example, we all, if you're playing golf, you have a bad hole. Any coach will tell you you've got to just put it behind you. If you hang on to that mistake, if you hang on to that bad hole, bad frame in bowling, bad play, and you name it, if it doesn't define us, you've got to leave it behind. You've got to start fresh, and spiritually, we wrestle with it. We talked about this last week in forgiveness. Forgiving ourselves is one of the biggest problems. But
Yeah.
it's not up to us. We have help, and we have a path to leave our past behind in a way. God says that what is it? Our sins are as far as the east is from the west.
hmm Yeah, but if we keep going back to those mistakes, then we're then it's really on us. I mean, we can make a mistake. Yeah, you get it. You learn from it. You ask for forgiveness, and you go on. You don't keep committing that same mistake, or else you're doing it intentionally. So there comes a point in time when it falls into responsibility. It's a mistake. After that, it's responsibility and making sure it doesn't happen again. And doing your best to make sure it doesn't happen again.
One of my favorites, Zig Ziglar, said, "Never build a case against yourself." Now, you spend some time on the road, you get a lot of windshield time, and if you're not careful to guard your thoughts, you will start what I call playing that tape, of the game, the bad game, the bad play, the bad punt, and you begin to wallow in it. You begin to, just immerse in this mire of pity and depression, and those thoughts cannot possibly be coming from God. Can't be.
Oh no, I do have a lot of windshield time. I'll drive 4, 5, 6 hours a day, and sometimes get a little lonely out on the road, and so you do listen to some things pop in your mind, and that's why oftentimes you brought up what's Elvis time. I listen to the old Elvis channel all the time because I'm a big Elvis fan. Elvis time is Central Time. That's Memphis time. It's called Elvis time.
Why did Elvis get associated? I mean, how?
Because he's the king of rock and roll. He's the best, greatest.
I like Elvis
ever.
too, Del. I mean, don't be offended. But how in the world could a time zone get associated with anybody?
I don't know.
He had nothing to do with it.
They just call it Elvis time down there. So
okay,
if you're ever in Memphis or whatever, it's called Elvis time.
Well, I've been to Memphis, enjoyed it there, ate some great barbecue. And, well, let me tell you,
we're going to try to be going down there to Graceland, hopefully at the end of the month. We're going to be down in Tennessee.
I've never been to Graceland. Now, my brother-in-law is a Elvis fanatic. I mean, fanatic. And I am a big Elvis fan. I remember where I was when Elvis was pronounced dead.
Yeah, I did too. I was junior high football practice.
Yeah. And we were, a friend of mine were headed down to Tampa, and we were just both kind of just in a darkness. It was
our practice got canceled.
Oh gosh, really?
We were heading down to practice, and the coach was upset. And he said, "Everybody go home."
Well, I wanted to mention some trivia about time zones. I am in the Eastern Time Zone, and the Eastern Time Zone basically follows the Chattahoochee River. Now, there is a corporation in Florida called the St. Joe Corporation. They are the largest landholder not only in Florida, but if you take a Cessna from Miami and fly north, you are never out of sight of St. Joe property. They own a lot of land. And as a consequence, they're rather politically powerful. Well, a lot of their operation is in Florida, but their headquarters is in, guess where? Port St. Joe, which is in the Central Time Zone. based on the Chattahoochee River. So they literally got, if you look at a map, you will notice that the central time zone all of a sudden departs from the Chattahoochee River, goes due west, and just takes in Port St. Joe. So that they could, and there's some political implications. Remember the close election with Gore and Bush?
Yeah.
That was triggered.
Well.
That was triggered in part because the networks, one of the networks, I won't venture to guess which one, but I think I know which one.
The CBS.
Okay, that's what I was going to say. Said that Bush had taken Florida. They declared a winner, but what they didn't realize is polls were still open in the western portion of the state.
They called the state for Gore, and then Karl Rove got on the phone, told him to reverse that because the polls hadn't closed yet, and then Bush ended up winning. That was a great night.
That was an interesting. Of course, Tallahassee. Most people don't even realize Tallahassee's the state capital.
See, behind my left shoulder is a picture with my wife and I with George Bush behind us there. So.
Well, I was looking over your right shoulder at some female form.
That's my Ann Coulter doll. That's my Ann Coulter book she autographed, and then have the.
Well, flip that around next week, would you? Because it's it's hard.
Let's move.
Yeah.
That doll talks. It's a political pundit doll. So.
Now,
if anybody knows who Ann Coulter is, she's very sarcastic and opinionated. I read one of her books.
She's a little opinionated, yeah.
I read High Crimes and Misdemeanors in an airport one time during the layover. The whole book.
Okay.
Loved it. So.
Well, you writers probably spend a little time reading too. I'm going to have some windshield time tomorrow.
Me too.
10 hours. 10 hours on the road. In fact, as soon as we wind up here.
Just to see me.
Well, and if it weren't for you, it's doubtful that I would be there. But the North Carolina Christian Writers Conference begins Thursday. I will break down. I had to keep enough of the studio intact to do this, but almost everything else is in the back of my truck, and it's ready to go. So as soon as we sign off the air here, I'm going to dismantle what remains of this, pack it up, and strike out at 7 in the morning on a 10-hour journey. I'll pick up my daughter on the way there, and we're going to be filming and recording a lot of the action there, which actually starts Thursday afternoon. And your wife is actually managing that conference. Tell us a little.
Right.
I may forget to tell you privately, if you have 5 copies of that book, please bring them. I want 5.
I have.
Okay, thank you.
We're going to be having a little get together down there. Our publisher will be there, and I think they're having a little celebration for it because being the book launch yesterday, they're having a little launch party down there as well. So I'll have plenty of copies there.
Good, because I want to give those to my friends that meet every Saturday. We all meet every Saturday morning. I'm seldom there because I'm usually working, but that'll be a study guide that we want to take on, and I can't wait to. In fact, I'll have one of those copies apparently before, because the last time mail came in was like today, and before I get back, so it'll probably be waiting on me when I get back.
Right.
What else going to now? Obviously, you're going to invest some time promoting your new book that's out, First Down Devotions, but. What all else is going on at that conference? And if there's anybody that sees this that might be thinking, why would I want to go to a writers' conference? What would you offer to them as advice?
Well, the best thing to do is that's where I got my start, was at the Florida Christian Writers Conference. A lot of the same folks go to these conferences, and that's where I met my agent Kyle, who will be there tomorrow. And you'll be able to, if you're into writing or film, you can sit down with publishers, with agents, with editors, present your work to them, pitch your work to them. You may come out with a contract. In fact, that's one of the classes I'm teaching, is how to go from a conference to a contract, because that's what everybody wants, is that contract. So mine happened pretty quickly for me, and I'm going to tell how I did it. It's not a guarantee that'll happen, but I'm still tell my experience and my stories and my suggestions on how to go to a conference and come out with a contract. because that's what everybody wants when they go there. So there'll be a lot of classes to take. There'll be a lot of workshops, a lot of little seminars on various topics. Bethany Jett, who was on last week with you, would be teaching a class on social media and how to get into marketing your product. And Michelle will be teaching a class on writing for children's books, and do's and don'ts for that. And Kyle will be teaching classes, and there'll be a lot of other workshops there. There'll be some general sessions from Bold Vision Books. Karen Porter will be there. She'll be talking about the industry and what's hot and what's not hot. So it'd be a great time to learn about if you're into writing books and books of faith or Christian books. It's a great opportunity to come down and learn about it, network, pitch your work to agents and publishers, and see where you're at and see where you stand, because you might come away with that contract.
What amazes me about this culture of writers that I found is you all are peers. You all, it's almost like you're on a team, but yet it's for the most part, writing a book is a solitary activity, but that's not really how it plays out. You all get to know each other quite a bit.
Yeah, we've teamed up, and that's the great thing about going to these conferences. Now I'm gonna clarify something. The Christian writing conferences, we've been to both. We've been to the secular conferences, which are great too. We've got some contracts out of those when we go to New York. They're different. The Christian writing conferences, you do form teammates. I mean, I'm on now a team, the Serious Writer team that Kyle and Bethany started, where we help each other. We promote each other's books, and Kyle and I just submitted a book together. We wrote a book together. Michelle and I are writing a book together. And it's a lot of fun. But yeah, you help each other, you support each other. Whenever somebody puts out something, we're always sharing it. We're always wanting to them to do well and be a big cheerleader for them. That's the fun part of it. So you develop this camaraderie and this network that's been phenomenal. And again, it changed my life going to the conference 3 years ago. And we went as a participant, as an attendee, and now we're, my wife and I are actually involved teaching and running the workshops. So it's a lot of fun. These are smaller conferences, but they're very impactful.
Do you have any idea about how many people are going to be at this conference?
I don't. I think 50 or 60, somewhere in that area. Up the Ohio conference, there'll be probably a little bit more than that. Now, some of the, like the Blue Ridge Mountain Christian Writers Conference, you got several hundred there at that one. It's massive. Mm-hmm. And the Florida Christian Writers Conference, where I went to, was about 80 or 90, and that's a good group of people. But when it's getting down to 40 or 50 that may be there tomorrow or Thursday, you get a chance to get more intimate and get to know more people.
Well, gosh, it's like 23 faculty speakers types.
Right.
So you're going to get some almost one-on-one time.
Yeah, I think the classes I've taught, I have maybe 8 or 9 or 10 people in them, which is great, because that's it. You can become more personal, and you get one-on-one interaction, and you have a good question and answer time frame. Mm-hmm. And that's what I enjoy. I mean, I've got my slideshare presentation. I've got my stuff ready to go, but I always deviate from it and never stick to it, because we always just start talking. Mm-hmm. And I try to stick to it, but we'll see how it goes.
Well, I am, and you're going to have Del Didway there, and you've mentioned many names, but I'll tell you who else is going to be there is Coach Prasick. You can actually, see and press flesh, and I even had to get some business cards printed. I had run out, and it's sort of like checks. They're a thing of the past to me. A business card. Mm-hmm. I'll tell you my story. I won't do it tonight. Business cards are deal killers. Don't hand out your business card. Tell them you're out of them. Get theirs.
Yeah, good point. So yeah, we're looking forward to it. There'll be a lot of good time, a lot of good fellowship, a lot of good eating. This church we're going to that we're having at Andy Clapp's church. I'll tell you what, last year they really.
Dale, I'm Southern Baptist. It's a Baptist church. I know these things.
They cook well.
I know these things.
They took care of us. So we're looking forward to that. Just go down and eat. So.
And I'm going to get to meet briefly on the way up with Sunbelt Girl and her husband Frank. They've actually built. Awesome. Yeah, this computer that we're using is barely adequate. I have to basically unload everything except what we're doing, and there's some glitches, some compromises that we have to do. But her husband kind of builds computers as part of his retirement activity, and they have built me a machine. I mean, this thing weighs about 40 pounds. Can't wait to fire that up when I get back.
I'm thankful that she's out there and she retweets my stuff, and is really thankful for that.
We're building a good team, Dell, and part of it, we have two sides of the team. The guests that come on, and you all are doing a great job of promoting each other, giving some lift, and that's what teamwork is. And I am always fascinated by the teamwork dynamic. And you're a team player. You're a real champion. And I can't wait to meet you personally and get my 5 books. I guess I'll have to bring my checkbook and all, and we'll
I
have
take
some
cards.
Oh, you do? Okay, well, good. I got some of those. We'll run 2 or 3 of them, see if any of them work. And all right, well then I'll see you Thursday sometime.
Tomorrow night. Probably tomorrow night.
Okay,
we'll probably roll in about 10.
Yeah, I'm not staying at one of those hotels. I get a special deal. I've worked in the hotel industry for about 30 years, and I get a deal that's irresistible. So I'll be staying probably down the road a little bit, but it's not that big of a place. So.
No, well, shoot me a text. Let me know that you got in okay.
All right. Well, Dell, I'll see you probably tomorrow night, and we'll take it from there. And can't wait.
I had a good time. Thanks.
You're a champ, Dell. Appreciate you, bro.
Thanks for everybody for tuning in.
Okay. Dell Didway. Let me make a few. I did this last night. Let me do it again tonight. A few closing remarks. As I told you, we're tearing down the studio as soon as we sign off here. Trying to get everything packed up by midnight so I can grab a few hours of rest. So we do have Refugee Roger recorded. I have to upload it tonight, so Roger will be here by way of recording. We probably, in all likelihood, well, there's no doubt about it now, Michelle will not be here tomorrow night. So hold everything together. I'm sure that Sunbelt Girl and Hazards 4, between the two of them, can hold the fort down. And we look forward to more of PJNet Live. And who knows, maybe I'll do one live from North Carolina. We'll see what happens.